So where are you on electric vehicles? I personally still love the combustion engine, the vibration, the feel, the sound. I love the way they tickle my senses, and that sensory experience is one of the reasons why I love motorcycles. However, more and more manufacturers are joining the EV movement, producing more electric bikes. Whether we like them or not, they're coming. Today we get to try out this adorable little Horwin EK3. Let's find out more about it in this episode of Beyond the Ride. Alright, I'll give you all the specs and info later on. I just really wanted to get a better feel of the bike first. Now the comfort, now the seat is nice and plush, not too soft, not too firm, but just right. And the ergonomics, well, the seating position is just like most scooters out there. Nice and upright, chill. However, there's really not much room for the legs. And I'm 5'6", so somebody taller than me probably will be cramped a little bit here, and you can't stretch it out like on some of the other maxi scooters out there. It's really quiet, dude. It's really quiet. Not as quiet as some of the other e-bikes because you can hear the chain, you can kind of hear the engine, and you can kind of hear it moving on the road. So it's not as quiet as some of the other e-bikes there that I've tried, but it's still really quiet compared to what I'm used to. I do really like that huge display. That dash is quite nice, and you know, it gives you all the information that you need. It's got a nice futuristic touch to it. It lights up, and you know, it's touchscreen. You can actually control. I mean, I have gloves on, so I'm not even going to try it. But you know, I'll show it to you later on as well. But it is a touchscreen. You can turn it on and off using that little that dash. I find it really funny that this little scooter has cruise control, and it also has reverse. I mean, it's so light that you can move it really easily out of the parking spots. That I don't really know why it's got reverse. And I mean, the cruise control, really, come on guys. Like, would you really take this out on the highway for long rides? Probably not. I mean, the range is not great, but I think more than anything, you know, Horwin decided to put cruise control and reverse on this little scooter. That's kind of like more of a flex for them, more than anything. And for that, good job on you guys, Horwin. Now there's 3 levels of power, or maybe riding modes. It's got 1, 2, 3. And 1 is kind of like the, you know, city riding, or, okay, maybe I shouldn't call it city riding. It's more like the least power. 2 is the moderate power, and 3 is the super power. So in a way, for the big bike riders out there, it's kind of like 1 is wet mode, 2 is standard, and 3 is sport, if you want to think about it as a big bike. And when you put it on 3, this thing is really quick. I mean, it's got a maximum speed of just under 100 kilometers per hour, and it can go 0 to 60 kilometers per hour in just about 6 seconds. That's pretty impressive for this little scooter. Wow, you can really feel the torque. It is everywhere. You know, it really does have that pull. And the braking system, which Horwin likes to call CBS, is kind of like the combi braking system on some premium scooters. So when they're in an emergency situation and you pull on the brakes, you activate both the front and the rear. And you get, you know, in the front, I believe it's 220 millimeter discs. At the rear, it's about 190 millimeter discs, and they work really well. They did a really good job with the braking system of this bike. It does soak up the bumps okay. You know, it probably could be a little bit better, but the double shocks up front and at the rear, you know, which are non-adjustable, by the way, those are, they do the job well, but I think it could be a little bit better. especially if you have a pillion on this bike, right? I mean, if for me, I'm about 145 to 150 pounds, somewhere there, and it's okay for me. But if you have a pillion here or somebody heavier than me, it might be a little bit, you could probably use better shocks. You know, it feels really, really good. It's nice and nimble, lightweight, super easy to ride, perfect for the city. I mean, I want to get this bike just really to ride around the city. Or maybe ride around the office. But I think it's perfect for the city. I mean, it's so easy to ride. It's, you can squeeze in the traffic. It's simple. Well, simple to the extent that it feels like a normal scooter, right? Not simple with all the bells and whistles that they put on this bike. They're not simple when it comes to technology, because this bike is packed with it. I think the bike can be used by pretty much anybody. I mean, don't let somebody who's never ridden two wheels before ride it in mode number 3, right? You let him or her ride it in level 1, and they should be able to be fine with it. Because the difference between 1 and 3 is really big. I mean, it's massive. So 3 can get you in trouble if you're not expecting that kind of speed and power. Put it this way. It's got the power, right? And I mentioned a while ago the 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. There's really no scooter that I've tried that gets off the line as quick as this thing. It's fast, dude. I mean, this thing, like I said a while ago, the torque is everywhere. So because of that, this thing can really, really haul ass. I mean, it's really quick. The acceleration is pretty intense. Well, for a scooter, it is pretty intense for a scooter, and it's quite surprising, quite pleasantly surprised with how fast this thing accelerates. All right, let's head to the office so that we can dissect a little bit more information about this bike and also charge it, because I haven't charged it just yet, and I don't want to get stuck in the middle of traffic somewhere in Makati, with low bat. So let's head over to the office. Yep, this is the most relaxed Beyond the Ride episode I've ever done. I mean, we're not under the sun, we're in the office, the AC's turned on, the bike is turned on, and it's all good. No emissions. All right, so let's be serious right now. And start with the design of the bike. I do really like it. I mean, especially if it came in a louder color, like maybe a red or a blue or a white. The black still works, but I think with a different color, it would pop. It's got this nice, classic silhouette to it in a modern, futuristic vibe, right? So if you were ever to imagine George Jetson with a Vespa, this is what it probably looked like. The seat height is 780 millimeters. I'm 5'6" with a 764 millimeter inseam. And that is the situation. A little bit of a tiptoe because the seat over here in the front gets a little bit wide, or it's a little bit wide, I should say, so I'm not exactly flat foot on the bike. There is room for a pillion right here, and the rear foot pegs go into the body like so. Of course, the grab rail over here is actually pretty solid as well, and actually, yeah, it's really in there. It's really steel. That's pretty impressive. That's nice. Right, the seat is nice and plush, but not too soft. And it's actually just the sweet spot, right? I mean, it is what Jack likes to call the Goldilocks seat. Just right. I do like the dash of the EK3. I mean, it's kind of festive. Kind of silly sounds that it makes when you start it up, but it's, it gives you all the necessary information that you need. It has the speedometer, odometer, trip meter, and it also, of course, has the power that's left. Right now, we're at 73%, and that means we don't need to charge just yet, but I'm going to show you guys how to charge it in just a few moments. Over here, we have the switches. This is the, that's 1, 2, 3, or if you're a big bike rider, that's wet, standard, and sport. You also have here your cruise control, which is quite bizarre for me for a bike this small. And your signal lights. It also makes such a strange noise. I guess that's kind of like the self-canceling signal light, right? So that
you'll remember to turn it off because it's going to annoy you if you keep that thing on. Jack would appreciate it. He never turns off his signal light. And he's laughing because he knows it's true. And over here, that's the little hook. So if you buy stuff from the grocery or whatnot, you can just put it on there. You have another compartment down here with a USB socket for your gadgets. It's actually quite deep, which I can appreciate that you can put maybe more than one phone in there, maybe a GoPro or some other gadgets that you want charged. Down here, that's where you stick the wire to so that you can charge the scooter. And, well, it is keyless, but if you've been watching this channel, you guys know that I prefer to use the key than to use the whole keyless system of a bike. And then underneath the seat, that sound, I probably cannot get used to that. But underneath the seat, you have a decent sized compartment, and that's where the battery is going to be placed. In fact, you have an option of getting a second battery which will fit right here, but if you do that, you pretty much have zero space left. And let's just show you how to charge this thing. So this is what connects the battery to the bike. You take that out, and then you pull out this massive battery, which is pretty heavy. Look at the thing, it's massive. And yes, it is a little bit heavy. So let's put this down like so. Over here is the charger. Oh, I want to point this out as well. You can check the status of the battery by pressing this button right there. So you know how much charge you have left. And let's see if I know how to do this. You can plug this in. With this, you stick it over here. And it's charging. Look at that. So that process took, I don't know, maybe about a minute just to be able to pull the battery out, set it up. Remember, you can just plug it in here and it's going to charge the bike. But of course, I wanted to show the battery and the little bit of a struggle to pulling it out and putting it there. So at least, if you live in a condo, that's very useful, right? So chances are you probably don't have a wall socket near your parking spot in a condo, so you do have to take the battery out and bring it upstairs to your unit or bring it in the office like we're doing here. I guess the difference between that and gas, pulling into a gas station and filling up a scooter up with gas, I don't know. I mean, it's simple enough, to be honest with you. It's a little bit more of a chore, just a little bit more, but not that much more. Now, the challenge is finding a place to charge it if you're out on the road, right? And I don't know if a convenience store will allow you to charge a battery of a scooter in their shop, in their store. You can buy a gas, you can buy fuel, filled up in those soda liter bottles if you're out in the province, and you go fill up your scooter that way. So this is a little bit more of a process, but I think the bigger process is finding a place to charge it. The battery is supplied with efficient 18650 lithium-ion battery cells. One battery cell has a capacity of 10.44 watt-hours. The whole battery has 2.88 watt-hours. The battery life is over 1,000 cycles. So when you're charging the battery, it's going to take you about 4 hours to have a fully charged battery if it's coming from empty. And that will give you roughly 100 kilometers range if you are going about 45 kilometers per hour and you weigh close to 145 pounds, which is actually pretty much me. Now, if you're in ride mode number 3, or what I like to call sport, you can go 0 to 60 in 6 seconds, which is actually pretty impressive, and a top speed of just below 100 kilometers per hour. Now, the build quality of the scooter is actually pretty okay, right? I mean, it's got a lot of plastic around, but I actually don't mind it. I think it works pretty well with the type of scooter that it is. And there's certain parts about the bike that is quite solid, like this grab rail that I showed you a while ago. And I do appreciate the buttons, how clicky they feel. And it even has that little touchscreen part here of the dash to be able to turn it on. All you gotta do is swipe right. Yes, a little gimmicky, but it's just nice to have on a, electric vehicle. So let's talk about the wheels and tires, right? Front size 14, rear size 13, and the wheels are wrapped with Timson tires. Never really heard of them, but they work fairly well, at least from what I've experienced around the city. Now, Horwin has what they like to call a vacuum tire, right? They claim that is absolutely puncture proof. Vacuum tires, aka tubeless. So when you're talking about maintenance of the EK3, you're really talking about very little stuff, right? Tires, brakes, and the chain. Yes, the EK3 has a chain, and the reason why it has a chain is because the motor of the electric scooter is right about here in the middle. Most other electric scooters out there, the motor is in the rear wheel, and when that happens, it's not as well balanced, and you're going to accidentally wheelie the, well, let's just say the not as pricey electric scooters out there. And yes, it is a little bit better balanced, and it's something that you could appreciate. And even though you're going to need to maintain the chain, it's probably something that you would probably want just to have that safety net of not accidentally wheeling your electric scooter. I mean, not everybody can wheelie an electric scooter, especially this one, unless your name is EJ Punsalan, our writer. So I do really enjoy and love this little scooter, and I do believe that electric vehicles are the future, whether we're talking about 2 wheels or 4 wheels. That's the direction everybody's going in the next several years, right? And something that I want to point out is that I ran this little poll on my social media. By the way, you can follow me. It's at Jinno on Instagram. And I realized that a big percentage of the people out there want to explore electric vehicles because of one of 2 reasons, right? Number 1 is to save money on gas. And number 2 is to save the planet, or at least not be part of the problem because this thing doesn't have any emissions. I mean, we are indoors and the bike is turned on. However, there is a little bit of an issue, right? In fact, there is a Sir Mix-a-Lot type butt out there.
I like big butts and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny.
That I want to point out and possibly burst your bubble. So, if you think that you are going to save the planet, or at least not be part of the problem because the scooter has 0 emissions, sure. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be sending out smoke or anything harmful gases out there when you're riding around in the scooter. But where are you going to charge it? Because if you live in the Philippines, you're probably not using solar or hydro or wind or another renewable source of energy. So you're likely just going to be plugging this bike straight into the wall socket. And if you're doing that, well, you're just using normal electricity. Electricity that is powered by burning coal. Which means, yeah, there's still emissions. Maybe not coming from the bike, but you are, once you're charging the battery of this scooter, you're still giving out gas. So that's something to think about. And if you think you're saving money on gas, by the way, that's a great idea, because saving money on gas, especially now, we should all do. But the starting price tag of the EK3 Horwin is at 265,000 Philippine pesos. You're going to need to ride this thing every day for quite some time to be able to ROI. Now, having said all of that, I do really want to get one. I mean, it's not the super early stages of an electric scooter, but it's definitely one of the more significant steps forward of all the electric scooters, at least that I've ever seen. So, yes, I do want to get one, but no, I don't think I'm going to save the world with it, and no, I don't think I'm going to save money on fuel. But I do think that it's quite cool. It's absolutely cool. And if you guys want to get one also, you can check out the Facebook page of Horwin Philippines, which will show you the link down below. And of course, for some great deals on some MCs out there, log on to www.motodeal.com.ph. This has been Jinno. Hope you guys enjoyed going beyond the ride.